I genuinely don't mean this. I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Do it.
It's not a topic that we had discussed, but it popped in my mind, and I don't know the full story. And I'm just gonna warn you right now. I am diving into the deep end of the conspiracy world. Just
Go
jump
figure.
with me, okay?
All right.
So if you look at who owns QTC,
Oh
okay,
yeah, Lockheed.
it is a gentleman. Yep. And if you really dig a little deeper into that, you'll find a name whose name is Anthony Principe, and I'm probably not saying that right. Well, who is Anthony Principe? In short, he's a former VA secretary, and CMP exams were being contracted. This happened, I want to say, late 90s to begin, and it really took off. It really took off about 2017, 2018, where CMP exams were being contracted out from the VA. Why? Because VA providers need to focus on VA healthcare, which is our next topic. And I said this was like a seesaw. So we see CMP exams being contracted, which 6 years later, we see a we'll say a decrease in the adequacy of the CMP exam, but we also see the increase in VA healthcare. There are tons of reports and peer-reviewed studies, and I've asked veterans on my channel about their VA healthcare experience, and I did all the math. The VA reports a 91% approval rating. In the comment section of that video, I'm at like an 85, 86% approval rating for their VA healthcare, meaning that's the data that I got, okay? But you really get down into the weeds of that conspiracy is it is insane to me that a former VA secretary owns QTC and is being profitable around the same time of that person leaving the VA, and then
Right.
CMP exams being contracted out the wazoo. I want to say the OIG report reports over 90% of all CMP exams are contracted out. And I know there's no question there, but I just kind of want your thoughts on a former VA secretary, having monetary gain from contracted CMP exams. Just your thoughts on that. If you don't want to go too deep, that's totally fine. But I figured we were already down this road anyways.
Well, I mean, so it's a good question. Does it seem weird? Does it seem unethical? Sure. But let me throw this to you. What if all the CMP exams were outstanding? Veterans were like, yes, this is the best thing that ever happened. These CMP examiners are the best. Would we care? We'd go, oh man, that guy's great. We're so glad that he set that up, right? So I don't know. I mean, would I have an issue if he still worked for the government and then had this as a side thing? Of course, right? Now, do I think that he influenced it potentially and helped this happen to where we are today as far as having all the sure, all day long. Is it, I don't have all the information, right? So does it financially make sense for the VA? I get it from a bandwidth perspective, right? Like current levels, your medical staff can't facilitate all these CMP exams and be able to see veterans. I mean, they're having a hard time seeing veterans in some of these areas. Mm-hmm. So I see that there's that issue, but let's pretend that that wasn't the issue. And they could just hire as many people as they need to facilitate it, which that's a whole other thing, because in a lot of areas, the VA isn't as competitive as the general hospital across the street. So why would you work there, right? If for a lot of people it's a stepping stone, or they take the VA job because it's got some actual hours that work well for them. But if hiring wasn't an issue, the dollar figures is what I would lean on. Is it cost effective to contract out or not? And really that's what I would look at. If it's not advantageous to contract out financially, then I would say okay, well then we need to reel this back in, and we need to be hiring, I don't know, C&P examiners, that's their only job at the VA. As far as this guy, former VA guy, whatever, he had inside information, right, of knowing that the VA is leaning towards contracting out because they don't have the bandwidth. Hey, man, I'm going to go open up a whatever and hopefully land that contract. He probably landed it because he knew people. Sure. I don't know. Can you say no? You can't do that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Makes you feel weird.
Sure. It's weird. It's a little, I mean, it's weird. It's a bit taking advantage of the situation, you know? But QTC itself doesn't actually own the doctors, right? Those aren't employees. Those are contracted doctors that have other doctor jobs, right? This doctor. So all it is just a conduit between the two. So it's not like QTC's doctors suck. Those doctors could have contracts with other contractors too, contract companies to facilitate this stuff. So, you know, I don't know. It's funny and kind of not a ha-ha way. It's interesting. It's interesting, and I don't know. I need more information to really be like well, that shouldn't be allowed, versus it's cool. So I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle with it. I'm a little uncomfortable. It's kind of like, you know, I don't know, opening the door and not expecting to see what's on the other side that surprises you, and you need to shut the door. Okay. You know, it's like, okay, I don't really want to know this, Clay. Let me just move on and just think that QTC sucks. And not think that the VA in some sort of back way, and this goes down the hole, right? Down the rabbit hole. This is just what you see. So if you want to do this, Clay, if you want to do this, I'm going to leave you with this. If you see one rat, probably 50 more. Just saying.
Oh yeah. So I'll leave that conspiracy discussion because there is no right or wrong answer, and we honestly don't know. But I will say this: some people, you know, we would call it lobbying. Other people would define that as corruption. You can do with that as you will. Okay. But I think that's a good segue into C&P exams and VA healthcare, because generally speaking, VA healthcare is good. I know there are a lot of bad experiences, and it really depends on where you're at. But at a very large scale, VA healthcare truly is